So as we move to pie number 8, the trick per, probably the biggest hunk there, not even. And this is not the biggest hunk, $22,851,562,500. The pop takes 10% of this. I want to make a special note to myself here, as well as everybody else that's ever read tap. My numbers were off in tap. My numbers were way off in tap for, it was here, had to do with Treasury. So we've adjusted those. Treasury, you have no idea what kind of a raise you got here. So $2,285,156,250 to pop. Of that, 4% heads on over to Treasury at $914,066,500. 10%, now check this out. 10%, $2,285,156,250. Participating local parks, participating local judicial systems, participating local departments of transportation, participating local public works. We have projects we need to be done. Now we've got each little community doing their thing. We're dumping more money into them. I don't care if it's for buying asphalt. I don't care if it's for buying new plants or hiring some kids to work in the summertime. You've got money trickling in. Matter of fact, each one of you, if you divide it by 50,000, comes to $45,703.12.5. So 12 cents, I rounded down. $45,703.12 for each one of those little 50,000 little departments out there. Participating state judicial systems, $45,703,125. Judges, I want you to hear me on this. I have come across some scumbucket commissioners who cost me everything I had through their own corruption. And there's never been an apology. I wouldn't be in the situation I am today if it wasn't for the law not following the color of the law. On the other hand, I always wanted to be a lawyer. I used to love paper chase. I used to love it. And then one day I saw this thing. It was either the Seattle City Council or the King County Council. One of them had built themselves what amounts to a palace downtown, while they crammed all you judges into little holes in the wall. You got these overburdened courts. You got, 25 million new residents over the past 10 or whatever many years. I don't see an increase in judges. I don't see an increase for their spaces, much less some decent space to work out of in a lot of cases. Sure, if you're at the Regional Justice Center, maybe. But there's no reason the county councils and the city councils are living in luxury while you guys have overburdened courtrooms. So, we're giving you some major relief here. Judicial, I hope you're listening. There's also going to be money, more money, as we've already had for prosecution and defense, because there needs to be a balance there. So let's move on. 20%, $4,570,312,500 will go to participating local school districts and participating local general funds. So some little town like Bucota, Washington, that's what I'm thinking of there. Maybe they have one little school in that area, and they're getting their hunk of the pie. When we divide this out by 50,000, that little hunk of the pie comes out to $91,406.25. Now, once again, this is trickle-up economics, so what starts in Bucota would stay in Bucota, what started in Tacoma would stay in Tacoma, what starts in Portland stays in Portland. But you get the idea. So the greater your base is, the better. And when you're really spread out, when you have a place that's the local school's 10, 15 miles, 20 miles away, there's a lot of people that live in that area where their money keeps going to build roads that never get built because the state sends it over to the big city. Nowadays, through this program, for example, your local schools are going to actually see the money. This doesn't go to your district. This goes to your school. Think about that. Actually, think about a city called Shelton. Remember, right, they had 3 schools in the whole place. So if they were all right next to each other under my thinking, each one of them would get a hunk. So they'd each get about $30,000 apiece for that year. And remember, that's per year. That's perennial. Perennial. Whoops, did I knock it off track? Oh, well. Let's go ahead. They should say Pi 9, not Pi 10. It's the trick per, and it's worth $11,425,781,250 annually. The pop takes its 10%, or $1,142,578,125. Treasury takes another $45,703,125 for doing all the accounting for everybody. Can you imagine all the jobs Treasury's creating? Imagine that. So now we got 15% because we really do think about you people out there. Now I want you to watch this here. Participating local health department, participating local medical facility, participating local fire department, participating local police departments. You're the ones that have a serious need because we're talking about a D class here. You don't know what you're going to roll up on. You want to know if you roll up on a D class. You know you have to deal special with these people. So each of you divided by 50,000 comes out to 34,277.34. The participating state police forces, state troopers, you should love me for this. 34 million more. 34 million more. 34,277,343.75 per state. And that's if all 50 states are participating. And now think about that. Delaware or Rhode Island is going to have a much smaller hunk, but a place like California or New York is going to have a huge hunk because they have more people. But in the balance, in the average, 34 million more for state troopers. Okay, pals and tots, we got to keep them pals working. We got to keep them tots under control, and part of that is encouragement. As you're going to see, there is an Operation Encouragement. Pals and tots each get $856,933,593.75. With that, now we're really going to move on to pie number 10. People, pie number 10 is where it's at. That's the nut on a tap that's actually been crunched out like this. You wanted jobs? Watch this.